Ladies and gentlemen, with this particular story, we are talking again about police officers. In this case, I'm a little bit conflicted about how I feel about this because I felt like one officer caused this entire problem and the other two were just trying to get their buddy, their partner, because they look at this like a brotherhood when they talk about the blue wall and all of that kind of good stuff. But they looked at it as our brother's in trouble for something. Let's try to figure out what we can do to fix it. And they all end up getting in trouble, some big time trouble. If you guys look at this individual on my screen, this is an individual who has actually become very famous on social media, on YouTube, because he goes very hard. Excuse me. He goes very hard at people who commit crimes. So if you have not ever seen him or heard him talk before, his videos have gone viral quite a few times. I saw them, they had like millions of views. But let's talk about this. It's out of Polk County, Florida, and the Polk County Sheriff's Office says that 3 of their deputies are facing charges for evidence tampering in relation to a December arrest. Now, according to a press release, the 3 deputies who y'all just saw on my screen, let me see if I can get them back up there, right there, were arrested Friday night after an investigation began on March the 15th. The deputies, let me get their names up here. Right here. The deputies are John Rosinski, 24 years old, Jamal Lawson, who's 29 years old, and Garrett Cook, who's 26 years old. Sheriff Judd, who y'all just saw on my screen, let me just get Sheriff Judd back up here. That's Sheriff Judd right there. Sheriff Judd said the investigation into the deputies started on March 15th when a suspect who was arrested on December 21st called about missing a cell phone and about $723 in cash money. Not related to the label. Judge said that the suspect was originally arrested during a traffic stop in Winter Haven in which Rosinski, on the left, conducted a traffic stop. Cook and Lawson were the ones who responded as his backup. The suspect was arrested after drugs and cash were found in the vehicle and on her person, according to the press release. Rosinski documented the drugs and the cash in his report from the arrest. 2 days after the arrest, a release says Rosinski submitted 13 items into evidence, but the cash was not one of them. He got 13 problems, but the cash ain't one, right? According to Judd, the deputy said they realized a few days after the arrest that the money was missing and decided to replace it with their own money. Aha! Aha! That's a problem. So money was taken, money disappeared, and so they were trying to cover and replace that money because they knew all 3 of them are on the line. Their jobs are on the line, their asses are on the line. So they tried to replace the money. Judge said that never happened and the deputies never reported the money missing to their superiors. Judge said officials don't believe the money was ever lost, but that one of the 3 men took it and stole it. The sheriff said he doesn't know which one, but added that it appears Rosinski, who is that guy, it appears that Rosinski had the money last before it disappeared. Judge said that he was mad beyond words. They risked everything over a little bit of tiny bit of money. And I got to tell you guys, there's 2 problems with that. First of all, in the normal world, $723 is not enough to risk your entire life, your entire livelihood, and especially if you're talking about 3 grown-ass adults and probably fathers. Let me break this down for you. We'll show you how this works. $723 divided by 3 is $241 a piece. Can somebody please type that in the live chat? And while we're live, please click that thumbs up, share the stream, let more people know that we're live talking about this story. $241 a piece. $241 a piece. If you split that down the middle, that's nothing to risk your life over. Even $723 ain't, there's no amount of money I don't think is worth risking your life over. Nothing. But in this case, it's even less than nothing. But let's move on. If we're going to hold the community accountable, we're going to hold ourselves even more accountable, which I do like that he said that. And I want you guys to also remember this. Police officers aren't working with a large budget to begin with, and that does not excuse them stealing money or taking advantage when they see they can take advantage of criminals. I don't like that. That's wrong in every facet. So let me clarify. But that's also a further reason why we should also not de-incentivize people to do their jobs properly. Hashtag don't defund the police. Because you're asking, when you defund the police, you're asking them to do their jobs for less money to the same exact standards that they were doing their jobs for more money before. And that's not right to do that to anybody. How many of you guys would go to your job, work 40 hours, but they tell you they're going to take 35% less money? They're going to take 35% of your money out of your check, but want you to perform to the same standards. How many of you guys are going to just sit back and be like, all right, cool, no problem? It's a twofold problem. Twofold problem. All I'm saying is that the incentive is bad on both sides. But let's move on. According to the release, after the suspect contacted the sheriff's office on March 15th, detectives found a supplemental report Rosinski created on March the 16th, which wasn't that long ago, adding the cash as an item of evidence. Wow. The release says Rosinski used Cook's login information, who's the guy on the right-hand side, to fraudulently sign the report as if Cook was an official witness. Damn. After the suspect contacted the sheriff's office, the press release says Rosinski called Lawson, then Lawson sent Rosinski $500 through Cash App. And the plan was for Rosinski to add the remaining $223 of his own money and submit it to evidence. That attempt failed, and Lawson asked for the money back, according to the release. Dumb, dumber, and dumbest. Can somebody type that in the chat? Dumb, dumber, and dumbest. That should have been the latest movie. Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest. 3 stupid ass dummies. Anyway, the investigation was started after a PCSO property and evidence officer reported a suspicious phone call from Rosinski on March the 15th. Now, according to the press release, Rosinski called the officer at work and asked this woman to call him on his personal cell phone because this dude knew that those calls would be recorded. So he wanted to get off the record to do some illegal shit. That guy. The officer reported the call to her supervisor, who reported it to Rosinski's sergeant. Rightfully so. Because I'm sorry, don't ask me to risk my life and my career for your stupid mistakes over $723. Rosinski's sergeant asked him about the call and the missing money. Now, according to the release, Rosinski said that he and Lawson were going to make it right. They were going to make it right together by submitting their own money. The sergeant told Rosinski to take no other action, and the internal investigation started. Now, Lawson, Cook, and Rosinski were all interviewed on March the 19th, just about, 10 days ago? Lawson confirmed that the money was removed during the initial arrest and gave conflicting stories on where it was placed after being seized, according to authorities. Now, Cook also confirmed that the money was removed and said he last saw the bag of evidence sitting in the trunk of a vehicle, but didn't say which vehicle. The release says when Rosinski told Cook a few days after the arrest that the money was missing, Cook said they should tell their sergeant, but Rosinski was worried about getting in trouble. Authorities say Cook knew over the next few months of the plan to replace the money, but took no steps to stop it, which is why his ass is in super hot water. Dumb, dumber, and dumbest. Rosinski also confirmed the details of the original arrest. Now, authorities say he told them Lawson took the evidence and he took the suspect to jail. He told the detectives the next day he noticed that the money was missing and said that the three searched for it but could not find it. So they created a plan to replace it. He also admitted using Cook's password to fake the witness signature on the supplemental report he created on March the 16th. Now, Cook, let me see if I can get their names back up here so you can know who's who. Cook, who's right there in the middle, is charged with conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence for conspiring with Lawson and Rosinski in unlawful tampering or fabricating evidence, F3. Let's go back. Lawson, the black guy, is charged with conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence for conspiring with Cook and Rosinski in unlawful tampering or fabricating evidence, F3. Official misconduct for knowingly and intentionally causing another person to falsify an official record to cover up the loss of evidence, F3. And tampering or fabricating evidence by transferring money to Rosinski by way of Cash App, knowing it to be unlawfully submitted as evidence, F3. Last but not least, Mr. Rosinski, who caused all of this, who might have actually done the world a favor by creating this situation, and then we got three bad cops out of the way. So this area out there, where's this area at? In Florida? And Polk County. This whole situation has caused us to be able to get three bad officers off the force and in jail in Polk County. So Rosinski is charged with conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence for conspiring with Lawson and Cook in unlawful tampering or fabricating evidence, F3, official misconduct for knowingly and intentionally falsifying an official record to cover up for the loss of evidence, F3, tampering or fabricating evidence by obtaining money to submit into evidence, knowing it to be unlawfully submitted, forgery or forging another deputy's signature to his report, F3, lastly, uttering forged instrument for publishing as true a false and forged record, F3. Now, Rosinski and Lawson were hired by the department as detention deputies in 2017, and both later transferred to deputy sheriffs that same year. Cook, who was hired as a deputy sheriff in 2016. Sheriff Grady Judd said Lawson and Cook were also members of the SWAT team, which means they would have had a lot more responsibility on their hands and could have potentially been around a lot more money and a lot more drugs and a lot more responsibility. All of the deputies have resigned from the department when they were arrested on March 19th. So if they resign, which sounds like a fourth to resign, if they resign, then that means they don't get any monetary benefits. They don't get any type of paid while the investigation is going. They get nothing. They basically quit. When you quit, you get no money. Judd added that the charges against the suspect in the initial case have all been dropped, and she will get her money back. How about that? All of the drugs she had go away. She don't get no charges because they damn sure don't want to get sued to high hell behind this. We give you guys the fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And again, I want to remind you guys, the police officers did not get fired. I repeat, they did not get fired. They resigned. They quit. Therefore, they get no pay.
We begin with a developing story out of Polk County, where the sheriff's office arrested 3 of their own. It's a first for the department in its history. The 3 now former deputies are all accused of tampering with evidence. Fox 13's Jennifer Holton joins us now live from the sheriff's office, where Sheriff Judd spoke about the case today. And Jen, I'm sure he had a lot to say about this.
Oh, yes, Linda, and he came right out and said it, that he is mad beyond words, and he wants the community to know that if he finds out that one of his own have broken the law, they're not only going to lose their job, but they will be taken straight to the Polk County Jail. And 3 of his deputies found this to be very true Friday night. It's a basic principle.
You can't police a community if you don't hold yourself to a higher standard than you expect of the people from the community.
As for 3 of Sheriff Grady Judd's deputies,
these folks forgot.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office arrested deputies John Brzezinski, Jamal Lawson, and Garrett Cook Friday night, moments after they resigned for evidence tampering in a case dating back to last December. Brzezinski and the 2 others were working a traffic stop in which a woman was found with marijuana, controlled substances, and $723.
John writes his report, and he processes evidence, and he puts several pieces of evidence into property and evidence. But they don't put any cash, any money into property and evidence. What the 3 of them talk about on the 23rd is, uh-oh, the money's missing.
Fast forward now to March 15th. The woman's charges were reduced and she requested her money back. The report, however, showed no money was documented. But it was a phone call Brzezinski made to the property and evidence officer that kicked off the criminal investigation. Judd saying Brzezinski told P&E he and Lawson were going to, quote, make it right by submitting their own money into evidence to replace it. That officer called her sergeant.
And within 5 days of this being first brought to our attention and us sorting through and talking to the supervisors and the P&E and complete an investigation, on Friday night, we locked all 3 of these deputies up.
All 3 facing charges of conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence. Brzezinski and Lawson are facing further tampering charges. As for what happened to the money,
we don't know where the money is. We highly suspect that one of the 3 of them stole it, that it was never lost. We think that's just a lie along the way.
Now, Sheriff Judd says that it appears to investigators that John Brzezinski was the last one with the money before it disappeared. The sheriff's office, though, is working with their legal affairs department to reimburse that woman for the $723 that went missing. Not only that, but he plans on auditing these 3 deputies' cases that they dealt with in terms of seizure of property. And if they find any evidence of any criminal conduct in previous cases, they're looking at more criminal charges. Linda?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to hear what they just said, and I'm going to give y'all my closing thoughts. Since they've been hired, they are going to audit every single arrest that they have ever made. Any traffic stop, anything. Wow. If there's any little thing wrong in there, if anybody made any complaints, any little thing, they're going to be held accountable for everything, every little tiny thing that they've done wrong. And again, I want y'all to remember that this was over the smallest amount of money. But this is a microcosm of a bigger problem. See, the problem that we have in America is that we tend to risk everything for nothing. That's an American problem. It's not even a police problem, because we do that in Shoot, they do that in the corporate world. You've heard of embezzlement, right? You've heard of that in the hood. You've heard of that in police departments. That's a societal problem. That's bigger than police. That's bigger than the hood. Corporate people do it as well. And they risk their lives over this money. And it's just not worth it. There's ways of being successful in America and making money. And I think that what we need to do is we need to educate ourselves about better ways of being able to generate the things that we want in a legal way. Okay? And unless we want to change the laws. But nonetheless, that still doesn't excuse what they did. Again, I want people to remember, don't de-incentivize your police. Don't ask them to do the same work and then pay them less. Hashtag, do not defund the police. Because then that's going to create an even greater problem. And when pressure builds up, pressure will bust pipes, and it might cause some good police officers to do some bad things and make some horrible choices. And we want to give them more incentive to do the right thing as opposed to putting them in places where their mind shouldn't be. And if you ask me, if you're going to call me up and ask me to risk my life for you every day, I'd like to be compensated for it. Right? We should not be defunding police, regardless of if they catch these three stooges, aka snap, crackle, and pop. I don't know which one is which, but nonetheless, what they did was not worth it. $241 multiplied by 3 people, $700 and something. It's never going to be worth it. They're going to regret that for the rest of their lives. And sometimes there's just some things that you just can't get past, and that's going to be on their record forever. Y'all remember, like Stephon Clark said? I don't know how I brought him up in this. But that is going to hold them accountable for the rest of their lives forever. Just ain't worth it. But again, shout out to Sheriff Judd. I love watching him, and I like his no-nonsense approach to doing the right thing. And I hope it continues to keep making people feel a sense of shame and walk that very thin line and do the right damn thing. Because it's only, in my opinion, it's only right and wrong. No room really in between there, okay? But hopefully you guys listen with an open mind and an open heart, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening to this story, and we hope to see you guys on the next stream, okay? I'm DJ Just J. We're the AFC, and we advocate for children first. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would, please hit that thumbs up. See you on the next stream, all right? Have a great night. Have a great day. Peace.